Hello, friends, and welcome to another video. This is a video where I want to share with you a method that I frequently use when writing short stories. And if you're a writer who has an idea but you haven't really gotten around to expressing it because something is pushing you away, then maybe this method can do you good. This method is actually something that I have tried with a bunch of friends of mine and it works for them. So there is a track record for this. And at the end of this, what you will have is not a final draft. But this method will solve a huge part of your problem because I'll tell you what your problem is, and I'm sure you'll agree with me. Your problem is not that your idea is not there because you have an idea. Your problem is not that you can't write because you can write, you're a writer. Your problem is that you have an entire file filled with half written stories. And because the number of such stories keeps increasing, every time you decide to start a new story, you are held back because you think, I have so many stories unfinished. Why am I starting another one? Or maybe when you try to write a story, you get to a point where you can't go on and you leave it and it lies around and then you don't ever get around to finishing it and it just gets added to that pile of unfinished stories. So, what this method does is that it gives you a finished final draft. And this method is called the 1 hour story because what you are going to do with this method is that you are going to finish an entire story in 1 hour. Now, don't get excited because this is not a magic method which will finish your story for you. The work is still going to have to be done by you. But this is more of a mindset thing. So, what this involves is that you choose a topic or an idea and you sit down for 1 hour and you write. There is one rule though, you have to finish the thing. It can be the worst story written in the world, it can be the worst story you have ever written, it can be a story that you cannot even comprehend writing because it's so terrible. There is only one rule, and that is that you have to finish it in 1 hour. Because if you do, a few things will happen. The first thing that will happen is that you will have a finished first draft in your hand that you can then edit. The second thing is that if you have not finished a story in a long time, this will give you confidence that you can do it. My advice would be don't work on something that you're already writing. Pick something new. In fact, what I used to do with my friends is that we used to gather together in a room and choose a random word and then just hammer a story out in 1 hour. The story didn't even have to be good, it just had to be finished. Because the more stories you finish as part of this exercise, the more confidence you get about your ability to finish. Because if you have not finished a story in a long time, that begins to weigh you down. You start thinking, I can't finish. And finishing is a huge problem. If you ask many professional writers for their best advice for beginner writers, they say finish what you start. And finishing is the problem. The problem is not lack of inspiration, the problem is not lack of ideas, the problem is not your inability to write. The problem is that you can't get yourself to finish. So finish. In fact, finish in 1 hour. After you finish, you can edit it for a day. But I think you will find that the process becomes easier after you finish a story. Maybe you write a story and you stop after every paragraph to edit that paragraph to make it perfect, and that takes a lot of energy out of you, and maybe that is why you can't finish. In this method, in the 1 hour story method, you don't stop to edit. You type. You type like your life depends on it. You type until you have finished the story. Even if the story feels like it should take you 2 hours to finish, or 1 day to finish, or a week to finish it in 1 hour. And then use that first draft as the foundation on which you build the second draft. But do finish the first draft. The 1 hour story method is designed to do only one thing, and that is to get you to finish one story. So try it one of these days, block some time off, and sit down with your laptop. Choose a word, pick a random word, pick a random concept, or maybe an idea that you have had that you have not noted down elsewhere, and just hammer it out within 1 hour. I'm sure you will see at the end of it that you're feeling better and that you now have the courage to go back to that file full of unfinished stories and maybe pick one of them up and finish that in your next attempt at a 1 hour story. Best of luck.